Well, if there's one thing in this world that Joe Biden cares about above all, other than an early dinner, it's climate change. So given that, it seemed a little strange when the people on Joe Biden's campaign team who can operate computers tweeted out an image today proudly showing Joe Biden hopping onto a private jet. The note said, "Wheels up!" exclamation point. Just like a teenager on Instagram. Bye, proles, wheels up. But it shouldn't surprise you. After all, according to Joe Biden, only Donald Trump can hurt the climate. Watch.
If we have 4 more years of Trump's climate denial, how many suburbs will be burned in wildfires? How many suburban neighborhoods will have been flooded out? How many suburbs will have been blown away in superstorms? If you give a climate arsonist 4 more years in the White House, why would anyone be surprised if we have more America ablaze?
Really, Joe Biden, then why'd you just buy a beach house if you really believe that? Because you don't. But what they tell us, as you're fully aware, is that climate change affects everybody. That's why they call it global warming. The wildfires are burning the western half of this country because climate change. But here's something a little odd. They're not affecting Canada, which is also on the globe. Canada, in fact, is experiencing right now a steep decline in wildfires. For example, in Alberta, that's a Canadian province, about 1,450 hectares, that's the Canadian measure of size, have burned so far this year. Last year, by this time, 850,000 burned. So it's going down, even as climate change is getting worse. How did Canada buy an exemption from global climate change? Marc Morano is with Climate Depot. He's the producer of the upcoming film Climate Hustle 2. I'm going to watch that. He joins us tonight. Marc, thanks so much for coming on. So is it because Canada has a progressive prime minister in Justin Trudeau that they have opted out of climate change? Like, how did they do this?
It's very simple. The Canadians voted the right way, so they were spared the drought, the wildfires. There's no other way. First of all, Canada has had unusually cool conditions and wetter, so the finger of carbon dioxide didn't affect Canada, but it just focused on California for some reason. What Joe Biden said is you can vote yourself better weather. President Obama said the same thing in 2012, and people did vote. He said, if you want, this is not a hoax, and if you can do something about it, and they voted him back in. But guess what? We still have extreme weather, so voting for Obama didn't help. I don't know how voting for Biden is going to stop extreme weather.
I mean, the sad thing is the fires are real, and people who care about actual forests and animals and the nature, and there are very few of those on the progressive side, would like to see this end. It seems like a cover for the mismanagement of natural resources by the Democrats in charge of the state of California, to me.
It's in large part absolutely that. It's not just California. It's other parts and other states in the West. This has been going on since at least the 1970s, this sort of no-use forestry policy where you leave all the dead wood in. So it makes it a tinderbox. Even Governor Newsom sort of admitted that in his meeting with President Trump yesterday, admitted their responsibility to need to manage forests better. But when you see, the images and everything, this is not an unprecedented fire. The New York Times 20 years ago in 1994 had an article, California's had droughts of up to 200 plus years that have lasted centuries. Recent times in California are nothing compared to the past of where it's been. And globally, droughts are not increasing, according to the UN. Wildfires are not. There is no way. This is climate ambulance chasing at its core, weaponizing weather events to say, look, there's a bad weather event here. We need a Green New Deal. They're using science to lobby for politics. Vote for me and I'll make the weather better.
Really quick, in 10 seconds, I want to ask you the question I've always wanted to ask Joe Biden and people like Joe Biden. They say that climate change is destroying our climate. This is a very old planet. What period in the history of this planet had the ideal climate?
And that's a great question to ask them because they can never answer that. What's the ideal temperature? They won't tell you that either. They just want you to be afraid. And in the case of Biden, he actually said that we're all going to die if we don't stop fossil fuel use. And he actually wants to put executives in jail. So, and meanwhile, he's still using these private jets.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they're still destroying the environment. California is dirtier than it was 30 years ago. I can tell you that firsthand. And they did that. Marc, thanks so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tucker.